Hello, 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 everyone. So take a look at the screen. This is what we're chatting about today. I don't know if you guys had a chance to get your copies. I hope you have. When I look at this, it looks sinful, it looks erotic, it looks seductive, and all of those things. So we're gonna dive in to these characters and the stories behind them. So today, welcome everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining. As always, I am Midnight Ace, your host, and today I have someone new with me, but she is now family, y'all. I have Shay Sanders with us, and she is part of the Sinful trilogy. So we're going to give her an opportunity to introduce herself to the people, let them know who you are and what you write.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. So I'm Shay Sanders. I write contemporary romance. I've recently started to branch out into dark romance. So the Simple series is only my second dark romance. And I'm liking it, I think. So I may stay on the dark side for a little while. But yeah, so I write, typically adult characters. I've got a few 40 and up. And just getting into situations, falling in love, and of course centering Black womanhood and Black women who deserve to be loved and treated accordingly. So.
Okay, all right. Well, we appreciate that, and we especially appreciate also too some older couples, because as some of us are getting up in age, we want to see some people that look more like us. But we love it all. We all here for it. Now, the dark romance, and I was talking to I think I was talking to Sherelle, and I was talking to someone else, and they classified this story as why choose kind of thing. So before I have you dive into that, let me just say hello to a couple people who are joining us. So hey, Mama Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Velva, it's always a pleasure. Thank you. Kawana, nice to see you out there. And hey, Miss Brenda Woodbury, thank you for joining us. Now today, this was a trilogy. It was with Sherelle Green, it was Shay Saunders, and it is Stephanie Nicole Norris. Now they are not here yet. Hopefully they can jump on. I know that they had Sherelle had something she had to deal with, but if not, honey, we got Shay here. And listen, I'm glad to have her here because we were introducing her into the Book Bar family. So we loving having her. So hopefully she'll come back and she don't think we too crazy. We don't run her away. So y'all be good now. Hey, Miss Sherelle.
Hey, I'm sorry I'm late.
No, you're fine, because then it gave me my little time with Shay,
Oh, good.
But you haven't missed anything. We are just kind of diving in. But I just said hello to a couple people. Hey there, Miss Lou. But I was just asking Shay the question of this classification as the series being Why Choose series. We know it's dark romance. It kind of hits on a little bit of the erotica side of it. Maybe even a little BDSM, depending on where your head is at. So y'all got a lot going on in this series. But the one thing that stuck out to me as was the Why Choose series. So both of you all can take that question. We'll start with you, Shay. What does that mean to readers if you pick up a book that is classified as Why Choose?
Right. So for me, it means there will be more than one male main character, who the female main character is attracted to. And why did she have to choose, right? Because, the average contemporary romance ends with happily ever after for the man and the woman. And with Why Choose, it's the woman and whoever she picks, right? And there are no limits.
Your fingers went out. Right. Okay, because the 3 was a lot, but now you got one.
Yeah, it's unlimited, whatever she wants.
Okay. All right. So it's just really about the characters choosing what they want in a relationship. So they're defining what they want. They're not letting any outside people culturally or anything define it. It's just what they want.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. Sherelle, would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. It means it's multiple lovers. It could be multiple. For me, it's multiple lovers that they could have. So, like, why just choose one? I feel like what Why Choose is more inclusive, where it can also be if it's, multiple, she may be into man and women or any type of thing like that. I mean, of course, ours was with her interested in the three men, but I feel like that's how the term Why Choose got so popular, because it's like, why choose one, lover when you can choose multiple. So I feel like if you see that, you know that the main character is gonna have more than one lover.
Okay. All right. So, okay, I'm gonna get a little deep here for a minute, and then we're gonna move on because y'all just teaching me. So, okay? So, is there any difference between this and polygamy, for instance, or kind of the same?
No, I mean, I think it's different. They're different. They all have different definitions. I mean, I would have to pull it up to be literal.
Okay, no, we're not gonna go. We're not gonna go there. Because listen,
No,
I got so many questions about this series alone. That was just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm just giving some feelings. But okay, let's just dive in. So, Shay, your character is Storm, and so you're new to me. So I first want to ask you if Storm has appeared anyplace else in any of your catalog.
Good question. So he has not. He is connected to a series, family tie series, the Windermere family, and he's a relative of theirs. But this is your first time meeting him.
Okay, and I did see that series too. Okay, so he's part of the series now. Okay, let Storm for me. I loved him. He was a bit different from me in the fact that for submission, typically I'm used to seeing a female submissive. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I love that you wrote something different and opened our eyes up to something new. However, I wanted to ask you, all of these characters had some kind of kinks, and it seems like it derived from life before them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what was Storm's mindset? What happened in his life that made him want to be a submissive?
Got it. So with Storm, I think, and I only really kind of scratched the surface of this, but he's really close to his mother.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he's really close to his mother, and his mother, she's a strong woman, and so he admires that. And I feel like Storm, especially with him being a professor in social sciences, he's in his head a lot. He's very cerebral, and so I feel like he kind of, he understands the dynamics probably better than most people. And I think he would even say, it's something that I admire in women in general. And so I'm in control. It's a man's world, right? I'm in control in every aspect of life, particularly at work. And so I want to be able to, have a soft place to land where I don't have to be in control, and where I can appreciate the strength of a woman, and, in some cases even be, dominated by that strength. And that, that's something that I like. And so, yeah, for Storm, I think it really just goes back to his love of women and women's independence, women's strength. For men in a patriarchal society, which is, we live in a society, right? For men in a patriarchal society, a strong woman is a threat. But for Storm, that's a turn on.
Mm-hmm. Honey, I don't know if I can handle me my own Storm, because listen, he was very giving, though. I mean, you look at the submissive and stuff, but I did not at one point reading the story, when you really got dive deep into, what he loves and what he loved about the submissive. I mean, he laid it all down, what he expected, what turns him on, and all of that. And I love that. But I also saw that to me, it made him even stronger. It didn't take away from his manhood in this story. But then I had to ask myself, for me, if that was a man that was, that I was considering, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I think that was the reason why Storm intrigued me so much more, because number one, I wasn't used to seeing that. And then, so you gave me something new. So I love that about Storm. Hey, Miss Stephanie, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Sorry, my son was
No, that's okay, honey. Look, life be lifing for us.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you would wait till right now to get active, wouldn't you?
That's okay. We were just picking on Shay a little bit, so we gonna get to you. So you came in right on time. So I'm gonna give you a little reprieve there, Shay. So I'm gonna pick on you a little bit, Sherelle. So Sherelle, like, most people have read you. They know about these crowns. They in love with these crowns, and every time a new crown pop up, it's like you don't know what to expect. So I have kind of sort of stopped saying I'm ready when you're getting ready to drop a book, because typically I'm not ready, right? So now you introduced us to Cruz. We heard about him in some previous series, just a name on the surface, and so now you gave us a little bit peek into the window of him. And so one of the things you've done really well with the crowns is that because there's so many of them, you've done a very good job in giving us different ingredients of each one, so we don't get the same. However, though, I did pick up on one little thing. So we had Sincere in the Once Upon a Murder series, who had some mental issues that he had to deal with, and then we come back over here to Crown. To Cruz, and he has a little something that he's dealing with. Now, this is your second time that I know of that you've written something just openly like this. So as a writer, when you're writing these things, is it therapeutic for you, or when you're writing these things, and how do you deep dive into the different scenarios of their mental illness so that you write it in a way that it's realistic for us?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's definitely therapeutic. I'm glad you picked up on it, because so one, yeah, they are brothers. So that was I did know that. I was hoping that people made the correlation with Sincere if they have read his story before. But I'm really a huge advocate, like, in the city, in my area, like, about trying to advocate for mental health, going to therapy. It's a cafe that we have out in the Chicagoland area. It's coffee, hip hop, and mental health. And so I had went to that, and I was super inspired to be like, okay, let me show a different lens for some of my characters, because it's like we're trying to normalize therapy for us. We're trying to be more open with talking about mental illness. So I wanted to work that into my book, but I'm super sensitive with trying not to, like, make it where it may offend anyone or something. So that's usually when I reach out to people, just to make sure I'm either getting it right, or if they don't feel like I'm maybe overstepping in a certain topic. But then it's so many different layers to it, that everyone has a different experience. And there's a lot of us that go through things that we don't even talk about. So I always just hope that then it makes someone feel seen when I'm writing about characters like that.
Okay. And so for you, writing Cruz's story, and I know you love the crowns as much as we do. When you was writing his story, and so each one of them had fetishes, right? So
yeah.
So Storm, was a submissive. He loved to be a submissive, and everything that came on with that. Cruz's story was almost a little bit difficult for me to find out what it was, but the one thing was the blood. Okay. And so coming from somebody that works in healthcare, and his fetish is a little bit different from mine, but coming from somebody that is in healthcare, I love gory stuff. So, like, the gorier the better. Like, so when someone didn't want to go and do an x-ray or imaging on somebody that was all cut up, I'd be like, let me at it, right?
Oh, wow.
So it's a little bit different for what Cruz has. So why blood? And what and if this was a real character, what would you say what was happening before him in his life that made him, just think of blood like that, Well,
I say, why not blood? Yes, he has a blood kink. I've written it a few times before in different ways. So it was written differently, and I don't want to spoil anything if people haven't read it, but the scene that is introduced that is what his kink is very different than that. But really, he's gore is his kink. Like, he thrives off the violence. He loves the blood. He loves Japanese rope bondage, and seeing the, the pain with the pleasure is what he loves to do. So, he is a dom in the bedroom. And we kind of, as authors, we all talked about having different kinks with them, so you didn't feel like you were reading the same hero, over and over. And I feel like when we were reading each other's books, we were like, oh wow, that's what you went with that. Like it's one thing when if Storm is like going to be a sub, and if I know you haven't got to Stephanie yet, but with Titan, with what his kink is, it's one thing when you read it on the paper. It was like, oh, okay, that's what you went. So I felt like that's probably why they felt too with the blood part. That was the funnest scene for me to write, is when that was introduced, because he loves the look of it, the taste of it. It's just it's what gets him going.
Okay.
So
can I just say, when we were reading each other's drafts, like, Sherelle really gagged me when I read it. I was like,
yeah, I know what she's talking about too.
Never seen anything like it. But I loved it. But it was just like, I had to take a minute. Like, did I just read what I thought I read?
Right. Yeah. So I think that was because that one was so heightened for me. Because you I'm sure there's people out there like that, but it was so heightened for me that I think and I almost missed it, because I would figured it had to be something else, coming. But yeah, so I'm gonna come back to you, because I'm gonna come back to all of you all and ask the same question, but I wanna make sure that we get a chance to meet Titan and his kink and stuff, and so maybe the readers can get a little bit more understanding about these characters as we move forward. Okay, so Miss Stephanie, thank you for joining us. And I don't know that I've ever had you on my show, so welcome if I have not, but you will have to be back. So your character is Titan Valentine. Now, I am familiar with the Valentines, right? And Titan did intrigue me. And as I was reading his story, I wasn't sure whether or not in my head if I had his kink right. So his kink is fire.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So you gotta, like everybody else, you gotta go back in time and explain to me why fire is, his thing, and what that's what's get him going.
I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, small spoiler, not a big spoiler.
Hey, I waited before we talked. Y'all.
Titan, he just when it comes to fire, it's he loves the feel of it, the way that it more so the way that it's commanding, the power in the fire. How no one wants to be burned, right? But he was able to figure out how to I guess you could say use it without feeling the burn. And then at the same time, because his past, he had childhood things that happened to him in his past. And so it was also a way for him to release the fear of that darkness of his past. So in the story, when he's talking to Centauri, she realizes as they're talking at the table that one of the reasons why he loves fire so much was because he was able to he learned how to control it, and it also made the darkness that he felt as a child not so dark, like and so it's I guess it's a double thing for him. It drives his passion when he's able to control it, because he's able to control it, but also it's pretty much erased his fears. The fears that he had when he was young, he was able to overcome them because of the fire.
Okay.
So,
because I know in the story, there's a couple scenes when they're talking, and when we're getting to know them, he's always with this lighter, just flicking it and flicking it. And I know that feel for flicking it, because sometimes, you could be just thinking about something and flicking, not making it, not even realizing that you're doing it.
It's like a safe space.
Yeah, but now, okay, so I'm going to say this, and I might have missed this in the book, but you know how Sherelle knows this, because I talk to all the time about how authors always have to put all of these cautionary things in there. If you got this, you might not want to read it. But wait a minute. There is a scene when, and y'all don't judge me, but there's a scene when him and Centauri is together. It's their moment, right? And he's showing her about this fire. Hunty, can I tell you I was about to try that? And I don't remember you saying, don't try this at home.
But I did. I did.
As I said,
she said, don't try it at home.
Okay, so let me just tell you, I didn't try it, but let me tell you, and it was because of the way he explained it to her. I mean, just step by step, as if he was explaining it to a Boy Scout. And I said, what? And I didn't go back and look, but I said, I remember I said, don't try to say it.
Please, my God.
You try it at home, just don't tell Stephanie.
No, I didn't try it.
Because I was like, no, ma'am. Like, yes, I researched this. It's possible, but don't try it, please.
Okay. So no, I didn't. So I'm bringing this up. So don't y'all try this at home. Just bask in the moment of his explanation and just feel it through the characters. But okay. So we've talked about the men in this series. Okay. So we talked about Storm. We've talked about Cruz, and we've talked about Titan. Okay, ladies. Who's the mastermind behind Centauri?
All of us.
Okay, so give it to me. Tell me your part in Centauri's character. Tell me what your ingredient is, because we getting different flavors in this story, and each one of you all put your own ingredient in your male characters. But now we got 3 ingredients into Centauri. So we'll start with you. Back again with you, Shae. What was your contribution to Shae's character? To Centauri's character.
With her, I think we see her arc throughout the books. So, when she starts with Sherelle, she's kind of set as a character. And then once we get to my book, which is second, we see her starting to change a little bit. And then, by the time she gets to the last book, she's, fully coming to her own. So for me, I wanted her transition, or the beginning of her transition, to be very obvious to the reader that, okay, she's coming into her strength. And I think Storm played a part in that in some ways, with, him encouraging her to be powerful, and that, I love that. That's attractive. And so I think, in my book, it's really transitional, where she's starting to become what we ultimately see in Stephanie's book. Okay.
And Sherelle, what was your contribution or your thoughts into her?
So when we started the whole entire project too, we basically had, I feel like it was over 50 questions just about Centauri, where we got on a call and we went through each question to be like, does she have tattoos? Where does she go to school? What type of car does she drive? Just for consistency. Our conference calls were getting really long, but in a beautiful way, because you're building this character. But so that was, that basis. But then when we talked about if we were doing a trilogy in those books 1, 2, 3, it wasn't until I started writing that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to, and this would be a little spoiler, so I'll say that in case anyone wants to not listen. But I was like, man, I said, I literally have to write about part of this grief journey. I can't even get into the fun right off in her world, because I have to get her to living with these men. I have to get her to that point. And so mine was focused a lot on her childhood and on her trying to heal and on her trying to figure out the dynamic of the men. So it was also the first introduction everybody had into the guys. So I wanted you to read it and be like, ooh, I love me some Storm. I love me some Titan, but of course I wanted you to love Cruz too. But it was the introduction into all of them as together. So how do they work as a friend group? Where does she fit in? How does she end up with them? So it was very much the basis of, just her journey. And because Cruz has known her since they were kids, then it was a lot of that. You learn about if there are any crushes, if there are any, if there was any of those type of feelings beforehand or attraction between them beforehand. You kind of get to see it, but you don't get to see how she plays out, past her healing journey. I feel like until you get to Shay's book. So it was laying out that whole beginning part of her world. Yeah.
So before I go to you, Stephanie, I have to ask you this, Sherelle. So you kicked it off. You kicked the series off, and in your book, you kind of set the scene for us. So you gave us really the characters. We knew kind of a little bit about them from the book. We knew about Centauri. We kind of knew like not plots, but like themes of where this series was going to take place. How difficult was it for you to write those? Because, you had to kind of know what Shay was thinking. You kind of had to know what which direction Stephanie was going to go. So how difficult was it to write that and then put your own spin on your own story?
Well, they know, they heard me complain about that. But when we all talked about like the order, I don't think any of us really wanted to go first. Am I right in saying that? Like that was what, I was like, and so anyways, then I was sending them a message, but Shay's like, why?
But she nailed it.
She did.
Like,
she did.
Shay was like, it's hard for me too because it's the middle. Like I have to take where you put, pick it up where you dropped it, and then there. And then Stephanie was like, well, what about me? I have to end the whole entire thing. And so while I felt like I was all in my feelings because I had to lay all this stuff out in the front, when we got to messaging, it was like, okay, everybody's job is difficult. We all talked about that, But it was like laying out the work too. I think we had in our mind like how long we thought the books would be. And then once you have to put all the gut in there, I was like, well, shoot, this is going to be longer than I thought because I need to actually have her. She actually has to have sex with them. Like I have to do the love scenes. I mean,
yeah.
Like you got to learn about Cruz's blood kink. You got to have him, learn about his rope bondage. So that was all like just, at that point, it was like we had so much of her that we had to put in there. But the beauty of it was that we were like, okay, Centauri's going to be in all the books. So like, I don't have to have her heal through her whole journey in my book when that's not even what's supposed to be. It has to go to Shay. And then for Shay, it has to go to Stephanie. So you could see full circle moments. So that makes it a little better once you put that back in perspective.
Okay, I see your point. Yeah. Okay, Stephanie, what about you? Your contribution to Miss Centauri?
I want to add to what Sherelle is saying. We all had to read each other's books. So it was like we created this outline. We had many Zoom sessions, okay, where we went over things in detail. And then it was like, all right, we knew what challenges we had for our story. It was like, okay, let's do it. So we wrote our stories and then we read each other's stories. And that's how we were able to tighten up the things that needed to be tightened. Like, if Shay wrote about something that Sherelle wrote about, then, they were like, okay, we're going to, And so it was a lot of back and forth to actually, this was a real challenge. I feel like for all of us, but speaking for myself, this was a real challenge for me. And I'm going to blame Sherelle. Look, I'm gonna blame Sherelle because she was like, dark romance. I was like, girl. She was like,
oh man,
why choose? I was like, child.
Oh, like, I'm gonna throw it right back at you.
But then she said
years ago.
Look, mind you, I'm like, girl. Then she gonna say, a trilogy. Were we all writing on the same characters?
Okay.
No, I was like, I'm in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It kind of spoke to my, I won't say crazy, but it was just like, oh, we finna do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're about to do this for real. So, honestly, once we decided what stages we were writing in, it was like, okay, I gotta wrap this up. So I got to set shit off, create a romance, do a why choose, set some more shit off, and wrap it up.
And watch him burn the whole world down.
I was weeping. Don't get me wrong. It was a real intense journey, especially with me going back and forth, like, because anybody who's read my books for the most part know that most of my stuff is contemporary romance.
Yeah.
Right? Do I have dark romance in me? Yes. You know what I'm saying? I do, but I can't write it like on a consistent level because, my mind get the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need a little break from, you know what I'm saying? But, I was just like, can I really make this story dark the way because I knew Shay had wrote dark. I know Sherelle writes dark. You know what I'm saying? So I was like,
but look, they done suck at you in now.
I'm like, am I gonna be able to pull off dark the way that, what I'm saying, readers are expecting? So I kind of had in my mind like readers' expectations are they don't play around. You know what I'm saying? I don't play around with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I gotta make sure whatever it is that y'all expecting, I need to bring it. So I'm just like hanging on to Sherelle and Shay, like, okay, once y'all read my books, I'm talking about we had notes. Like, let me know what I need to.
It was a lot of that.
And what I need to take away. So it was just like thinking about every part of the story. Like when Shay gives the story out to me, she literally gives it off on some chaos. Okay?
Just reckless.
Oh, that is true.
She gives it out clean on some chaos. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. You know what I'm saying? I gotta come in this thing tearing shit up.
Well, look. Wait, if it makes you feel any better, Stephanie, when I tell you that warehouse scene, baby. So if that makes you feel any better, you nailed it. You nailed it.
I appreciate
hey there, Miss Monica Gardner.
I probably went over that scene about 50 times.
Really? No, that was a good scene. I love that. Just it had all the feels in that scene.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that scene. And but then with his fire and stuff like that, I mean, to see him walking and man, he was just a boss.
Yeah.
Walking in a burning building like I can see Denzel Washington just doing that, just walking out, you know what I mean? Like blowing up the building, but then as the things is blowing, he's just walking in there, not worrying about nothing, not hurrying or nothing. You know what I mean? Like in that scene, he became one with the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the way you wrote it, he didn't have on any clothes that was like flame resistant or anything. I mean, he was the fire. Yeah. You know what I mean? He was the igniter walking in that scene. That's the way I read it. So, I mean,
if you notice, he never, when he in that scene, he never actually touches any of the fire. He just sets it off to go off where it needs to go. He knows, he's already set the path of where the fire is going to go. Mm-hmm. So he knows where it's going to go. So he actually is kind of able to walk around it like that because of that. But
yeah,
I enjoyed that scene because
that was one of my favorite scenes. Now, Terrell, you brought up something about like the dark. So both of them, all the three of the characters, not so much Centauri, but you brought up the fact that, they had this dark stuff, the healing and the pain and the emotion, which was throughout the whole series. So how did you guys, were you able to write that where you had pain, passion, and emotional just trauma in that, and then still make it beautiful?
I don't want to interrupt you, Sherelle, but I just want to say she had me and Shay I mean, we was like when Shay said that she was gagged at that scene.
Oh.
It was the opening scene that had me like.
It was hard to read.
It was hard to read. It was hard to digest. And it was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know we talked about this, but it gotta happen like this. You know what I'm saying? Because it was really emotional. It was really gripping. And it was just like, you know, that opening scene was just set so well. So much of that story was just set so well. And it was exciting to read because it was like, okay, she set this shit up like a boss. You know what I'm saying? Like she really set this up, you know? And so it makes, well, I know for me, it made me excited because it was like, okay, I gotta make sure I go because she set this shit up right. You know, it was so good. So anyway, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was listening to you. I was like, oh yeah. I said, because that was a really sad scene. Because I do feel like my book was very much rooted in the pain a lot, which I know it had to be for the overall series. And then that's why I was saying when I was reading their books, I was like, ooh, Shay get to write all these fun, like sexual scenes. like I was loving that. And then like I was like, man, now Stephanie gets to blow the whole world up. So very much I feel like we learned a lot about each other because we had to stay in certain lanes with our books just to progress the overall storyline. So I mean, I do love, you know, I have a lot of dark in my catalog now, so I do love writing like the pain and pleasure mix. Like that was a lot of fun. But I feel like when I think about it, I think about all the stories too as a unit. And so it's like I love the whole journey, like from start to finish as well. And like I think that was the thing. It's like you knew that all of the guys were going to be in each of the books, but like, you know, I had to stop myself from like if Shay told me something was going on with Storm or if Stephanie said something was going on with Titan, I couldn't share their story because that's coming up. So I had to just focus on, you know, Cruises and trying to solve, you know, whatever he was going through internally in my story, because you won't get to see that internal side with him in books 2 and books 3. So it was very different for us creatively, but like it was a beautiful type of chaos we had to go through to get it done. It was,
Can I just also compliment Sherelle too, because she really set the tone for the rest of the series. And, you know, I know it wasn't easy to write, you know, that scene. And it's like, you know, I feel like in my book, I'm kind of, you know, it's there's an undercurrent of pain because it's not the same as what it, you know, how it started in Sherelle's book. You know, there's the feeling, you could feel the loss, I think. But none of it would have worked if Sherelle's opening hadn't been written so well. So I want to pay a compliment too. It was, I mean, it was visceral for me reading it. And it's just, even knowing what's coming, I was like, I'm so sad. You know, it's just like you could feel that loss. You really could.
Yeah. I want to say too that with the entire series for the reader, if you haven't taken this journey and you want to after listening to this, we hope you do. I feel like as a reader myself, you must read all of these stories, and I feel like they should be read in order for you to get the full experience of this. And trust me when I tell you, this series is shelf worthy, but it is also as seductive as it is emotional. So just be ready for that when you do read the series. Yes, I do agree with you, Miss Kimmy. How are you, by the way? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it was. And then, like I said, you got to know the characters. I wasn't sure how Centauri was going to play in it, you know, by her being the little sister, and you know, you didn't get no real heavy vibes of like when she was, you know, Rev was her brother. They were really close, but you didn't get those scenes where they was like, hey, you know, I like this little sister or whatever. So in the very beginning of the story, when she came in like, you know, almost like a bull in a China shop, where she's like, I'm going to just sell the place, you know, and I have that right. And I'm thinking like, oh crap, you know, and then I wasn't sure why that property was just, you know, why couldn't, you know, and I said to her, I mean, she sells it, okay, just get another one. but maybe you can explain to me what was significant about the property to all of them. Anyone could take that one.
I feel like you even see it even more so in Shae's book. Like throughout the whole series, you kind of know that they have the frat that they're a part of. So that they have the frat brothers that we like introduced throughout the series, and so you get to meet different people throughout there. And then I feel like in Shae's book too, it even spotlights even more on the grounds of where the house sits and how it ties into the school.
Yeah. I kind of got that like toward the end when they were talking about the land that it was on. So I thought, okay, so it was more so the land and not the property.
It was the land, it was the memories, it was what they did with it. I know we have a whole scene where we even have, Storm talk them all into doing a whole renovation for it that he's extremely passionate about. So it was like all of those parts as to why this, ultimately that house kind of felt like the paradox, at least to me. Like that's why I was thinking about it.
Yep. Yeah. I could see that. I was thinking, because did they have like a basement too where they did certain things too? So I was just like, okay, they fixed this house up, just exactly the way they needed it for the characters that they were and for the work that they did, and so it felt like, moving out of that would mean like you'd be leaving something behind. And plus Ramp was there, that was his last place he was at. So moving away from that space would have been kind of that would have broke me up, too. So the pain and the pleasure that we talked about. So I want to get your perspective on each one of the characters. So Stephanie, we're going to move on to you and you walk us through how Titan, with everything that he was going through, how difficult or easy was for you to write, the pain, the passion, and the pleasure, and make it realistic for him and for us.
Titan is not like any of my Valentines, as you may be able to tell. So, and that's just because of his childhood and the way he grew up. He was kind of an outsider. His brothers didn't know about him, and his father did, but they were estranged, and the mom is nowhere to be found, and so he had a rough upbringing, and so it was really about me putting myself into Titan's mind, what he must have been feeling, how it developed him as a man, and what he wanted to show us, what he wanted to show me, to show y'all. So I kind of just leaned into that, like I do with most of my characters. Even when I'm in Centauri's point of view, I know that she is going through a transitional period by the time she gets to my book. And so it's like, that was another thing about writing this type of series. It was like being involved in a 3-book series where all of the characters are the same, but you have no hand in writing the first 2 books. It really challenges you to like be in these characters, like connect, not just be in the characters, but connect with the authors that you're writing with, and I feel like it was so nice to be able to read Sherelle and Shae's book and be like surprised that, how did y'all get this close to Titan's voice? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, but it was so dope, and I was excited because of the idea of what we were doing, the type of world we were building, the way we were setting the tone, where it's Sherelle setting the tone and Shae carrying it off and progressing the storyline. And realistically, it's one big storyline. It's just, by 3 different authors. And so, and then it gets to me and I'm like, I know there has to be chaos in my book. I understand that there needs to be chaos. There needs to be some hell, some real hell in that story, But at the same time, I'm like, I realize I know I gotta write a romance, like, oh my God, and why choose? And it did feel like a lot. It was like, this is a lot, like it's a lot of layers that has to happen in this story. And I was nervous. I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous.
Oh, come on.
I was so nervous. I was just like, this is intense. The same way Sherelle felt like it was a lot for her to have to set the tone with everything that she had to implement. I mean, don't give me the spoiler, but everything from when the way the story came in, where we see Rev and their interactions, and then what happens, and you know what I'm saying, and all of those droplets to build up this story. And then it's like when the track runners run the relay races, and you get to a certain point, you hand it off to the next lady, and then she gets in the front line, and then she hands it off. And when you get the baton, you sweating, you hot, you in a hot seat now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh shit, So it was fun for me. I enjoyed writing Titan's story, getting in his head, and trying to wrap that all up. But I also enjoyed the journey that the story that they wrote that pieced in with, like, it was bomb. It was just bomb. I just thought it was amazing, because I've never written a series like this with 2 different authors. It's just something I've never done. And
so would you do it again?
You are trying to make me crazy.
Well, I'm not saying right away, but I'm just saying if the opportunity ever came up.
No, I feel like if the readers enjoyed it that much, I would, but I wouldn't want to do it on a set of new characters. I like for it to be something that expands the same universe. You see what I'm saying? Because then, because that's what we already do individually with our stories. We write series and then we expand on our universe. And the deeper into our universes you get, the better each book gets, and the more twists and turns and all that stuff. And it just gets, you know what I'm saying? It's just really good.
And this took us a long time. Nobody will reinvent the wheel.
That's okay.
A long time.
Okay, so
I feel like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I feel like this is something, but to me, it was something new, because whenever I've heard of an author collab, it's usually an anthology. It's like, set in the same world, but it's not the same story. So this, I felt like, was very ambitious. And when they, those 2 came up with it, and then they brought me on, and I don't know if it's good or bad that there's no voice of reason in our group. Like, nobody to say, well, that's a bit too much. Like, we all were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's add this. Let's add that. So I feel like it was ambitious. It was difficult, but yeah, I mean, I would absolutely do it again with them. Because I know them now, and we kind of have, like Stephanie said, there was like a synergy. Like, we were writing, we hadn't read each other's stuff yet, but there were so many similarities, little common things that we had, and it's like, how did you know that? I didn't even tell you that was going to be in my book. So yeah, it was. We were vibing, like, we really were. It took a long time. It wasn't easy, but we were vibing. So.
Okay. Well, we love that. We love when they vibe.
This is not even a big deal or a spoiler, but like when she talks about too, like the connect. So like Shay was writing about Titan flipping this match thing before we like flipping the thing, and then we read Stephanie's. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy how you just. And then with mine, I put in there so much about Cruz eating the apple, like he was always eating apples.
Yes.
I read Shay's book and he's always eating the apple. And I was like, what? How did you pick that fruit of all? So it was little things like that was just really like kind of like, it wasn't in our notes anywhere. Like, but it just happened that way. So I was like, oh, that was crazy. So.
Okay, if I had more time, I will explore that. So don't be surprised if I reach out to y'all after this, because we only have enough time, and I know I'm going to go over. So I apologize, and I hope y'all can just stick with me. But I have a lot of questions, but I know I'm not going to get them all answered. But Shay, we're gonna come back to go back to you. Okay, so this one may be a little bit difficult for you guys. So if you could rewrite a scene, and it doesn't matter, you pick one scene from either one of the books. If you can rewrite the scene from one of the other's books in your own voice and style, which one would it be, and how would you do it from your perspective? And it'd be either one or either Stephanie or Sherelle's. I won't make you pick both of them.
You know what? And this is funny because we were laughing about this in the group chat, but I feel like Storm got kind of beat up in Stephanie's book, like at the beginning. Because throughout my book, like, it's very clear that he understands, like, I messed up somewhere. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did wrong, but I did something. And that kind of leads to, the cliffhanger. And so when we pick up in Stephanie's book, I'm like, poor Storm, like, Titan is just ready to, like, knock him out. And so I just felt so sad for my baby. So if I was going to rewrite one, it would be that one, just so that, Storm, it was a little bit, less heavy on him, because, you start to, like, you feel possessive over your characters. Like, you feel ownership over your characters.
Yeah.
And, like, those two gave me notes on, like, Titan wouldn't do that. Or, can we not have Cruz do this? Like, this is just kind of how you grow to feel about your characters. Like they are part of you. So yeah, I just felt sorry for my baby.
Okay, now how would you rewrite that if you had an opportunity to rewrite that scene? And I know which scene you're talking about. So how would you rewrite it?
It would be hard because Titan takes no prisoners. Like, so I don't have beef with how Titan was, because that's true to his character. But just it would be a little bit softer, and he'd be like, it's not your fault, bro. You did the best you could.
So when I read that part, I would have thought I thought, because I didn't get that from from Titan when I was reading his story. I didn't get that from him. So I thought that they would have sat down at the table and did one of their powwows and say, okay, let's work this out. Let's see where we made a mistake at. You know what I mean? But you're right. He did go in on him. But I understood. I mean, because of that mistake, and he didn't say anything, they were kind of caught, with their pants down. Yeah. And it escalated into something that they might not have gotten out of. So we do understand that. So yeah, thank you for that.
He brought that on himself. I mean, I can't even defend it. Like he something. So yeah.
And then when we found out what he left at the scene, I was like, what the heck? What do you think, Etna, right?
Right.
But and he hadn't even got with Centauri yet. So that was at the very beginning. So, his mind wasn't, he didn't have altered headspace. Okay, so let's talk about you, Stephanie. So any one of the books, any scene, what scene would you rewrite and tell us in your own words?
That's a hard question, because I don't really know. Like, girl, I don't want to take on none of these scenes. Okay, I had a lot to do on my own. Okay, and
you gotta get out. You gotta get out of your story, and then you gotta move on to the other story.
I don't know. I might would have had them cause a little bit more hell.
Okay.
In when they did the hit in Shae book. I probably maybe would have had Titan set the building on fire. I don't know. But
okay, so the scene where they did the hit.
Yeah, the scene where they did the hit. There was also a freaky deaky scene in there. The one where he was chained.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. That caught me all the way off guard when I read that.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was beautifully done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, well, that was right in line with,
It was. I mean, she said he was gonna be a sub, but reading it was two different things. It was like, whoa, I was like, she went all the way there.
Some of that spending the money, and you know what? Okay, so wait, I don't want to cut you off, Stephanie, but you brought this up, but the sub part of him when, you know, being the handcuffs, and we talked earlier about how that was unique for me because I'd never seen that before. But the part where they were at the party, you know, after she had assumingly already was in character, if you will. When they were at the party, remember, and he was looking at her, texting her, and then she was just walking like, you know, no, you know, so made him sweat and like that. And I was like, okay, so she just didn't jumped right into this character. You know, she was talking to the friend Gina, but I don't think Gina gave her no pointers on how to be, you know, a dom. You know, she knew about it, but she didn't give her no pointers. And I just said, oh, look, girl just strutting her stuff and she just didn't care. So that was really good. Storm's story really was surprised me. But I loved him though. I loved this.
It surprised me too. I've never written a character like him in my life, and you know, but it's very real. When I was doing my research, I mean, it's very real. And the ignoring thing, that's a kink for some. Like, there's you know, an adult phone sex line, and you know, some girls will have an ignore line where you call and you're on the line spending your money and they're ignoring you. And so when I read that, I was like, so that's the thing. Okay, so we can add that. Yeah, so there's something for everyone. Everybody has something.
Apparently.
Yeah. So.
All right, Sherelle. Last but not least, if you had to write either one of their scenes, which one would it be, and how would you write it in your own words?
They probably already know what I'm gonna say. I wouldn't rechange anything that they did in their scenes, but the fact that in my book, I mean, it's before she really can get to know each of their guys. Like, it's before you can get that deeper connection. Like, you have the why choose elements, but you know, Cruz can only be the one saying I love you in that book, and then sexually it can only be so much going on to not spoil it for the other two books. I wanted so bad to just have all the body parts just involved. And they were like, Sherelle, this can't go there. This can't, we can't share that just yet. You have to wait. That has to be shared in another book. And I was like, oh my God, that means I can't write it at all because the other book is not my book. So that was really hard because once you're in it, and sex scenes are my favorite scenes to write. So like, I'm in it. And then it's like, oh no. I have to take up part of that. But then, you know, with Shay's book, she gets to go a little further because Cruz has already happened, and Stephanie gets to do, you know, they can be doing whatever they need to do in that book. So
they did.
Yeah, and did. So that is what for sure
you would have did.
Like, we had talked about it, but it's like you just kind of forget things when you're writing it. And so you're like, I had an extra body part going where? He said, no, he can't do that. He can't just stick it just a little. Okay, fine, I'll take it out.
Oh, look, so Miss Brenda Woodbury said, were you the ones to select Shay and Stephanie because of S? And listen, I called them, what did I name you guys? I did have a name for you guys. I think I called the sexy or sinful trio or something like that.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah. So that's so funny because like I know that Stephanie keeps saying too that like she did not want to, like, how did she end up with this why choose? Years ago when we were talking, we were talking about it, and she was just like, man, I think this would work really good with multiple authors. I said, I think it would. It'd be fantastic. But I believe it was before her why choose came out. So I'm gonna throw her under the bus with that because when hers came, she said that was too many limbs, that was a lot of work, you know. But at that point, you can't tell me something and my thoughts go from 0 to like it's gonna, like, we already there now. Like now I don't have
worry.
So if you plant the seed, like we're gonna have a whole storyline created by right. Right. So like that's. And so, you know, so we had why chooses out, but then because our names begin with S, it was just so crazy because, you know, Shay had Crave out, and Crave was out before either one of our books was out. But like, I kept getting tagged, like they would tag me in like Stephanie's books. I was getting tagged in Shay's books at one point. We were all getting tagged just in, random posts together. And I think it's because people know who wrote the stories, but you know how just because our name begins with S, you just tag the first person. So we were like, maybe the universe is trying to tell us something because we all keep also getting tagged in each other's why chooses. Like, why is that happening? So,
well, I'm gonna tell you, I absolutely love these stories, and I'm really happy that you got Shay, because now I have a new person to.
Me too.
I got a new person that I can bug about. So anyway, it's gonna be my purse is not gonna be happy about some new bodies, but that's okay. We're gonna be there. Let me see. So hey there, Miss Lolly Bells. L Bells hopped on. How are you?
Our name
joining us
quite a bit.
Yeah. So Kawana, I'm going to say that one at the end was, I didn't know how that was going to turn out. The I don't know if you're talking about the sex scene, but that was beautifully written too. Like the whole fire thing. I think that's one of the reasons why I got so comfortable and say, I might try this.
The trigger warning. It's the first thing at the beginning of the book. We don't want nobody on an episode of Sex Sent Me to the ER. Don't try this at home.
I thought it was going to send her to the ER, because I'm like, really? Because I've never seen that before. And then just, I don't know. But that one was really a really nice scene. So I got one more question before I let you guys get out, okay? And I really got several more, but I'm going to be mindful of time because I want to be respectful, and I want you guys to come back and see me again. Okay, so we're going to start with you, Stephanie. Were there any deleted scenes that you can share with us from that series?
Ooh.
No.
Okay.
Any scenes that I deleted didn't do the story justice. You got the,
Well, sometimes the reader can be the judge of that.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
That's true.
And I noticed that in the back of at the end of the story, you mentioned, so you're getting ready to start up a new series, or how will Storm's, I'm assuming it's going to be with his brothers, but are they going to be like part of your normal Valentine series, or you doing a split with
those Valentines are actually the cousins of the Valentines that you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, you read about them in the Heart of Valentine series. They make cameos and appearances. And so this was just my way of adding them to this story and connecting them with Titan. Was just my way of letting you know that, okay, St. Louis Valentines are coming.
Okay.
I felt like I let them linger long enough. And so, yeah, they're coming in September.
All right. I'm here for it. Okay. What about you, Shay? Any deleted scenes that you can share with us?
I had a side plot, just kind of a small one. And I ended up leaving most of it out, but Storm had a situation with a former student, and which is why he's guarded, because he let that student know what he liked. And, after she graduated, they had a relationship, and then that student kind of blasted him to everybody else and, ridiculed him for, what he likes. And so there was a little bit more to that. But I left it. It didn't really serve the overall narrative. So I left it out, and I just kind of touched on it in the actual book.
Okay. Now, Storm, are we going to see any more from Storm, or is this just this? Is this it for him?
You might. He's so connected to the other guys and to Centauri that it would be hard to do something on my own with him without Stephanie and Sherelle. So I'm, when I say I might, I mean we might. but I don't know. So we'll leave that open.
Okay, all right. I love when you leave the door open, honey. I love it. Don't be closing no doors on me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sherelle. Now, listen, coming from, you know, one of my names is Crown. So, you know, Midnight Crown. You know,
I love that.
so I know my family. So I kind of feel like there got to be something else with him because, you know, I was expecting for him to, especially when that whole you know, scene with them trying to find out who was antagonizing them. You know, at first I thought they was going to have to go.
Yeah.
I thought they was going to have to be connected to like one of the other crowns, and then he made a phone call to, you know, Sincere in the book, you know, just to chop it up. But I was like thinking he might have to call him and say, hey, yo, man, I need some help down here or whatever. So what was there any deleted scenes or was there more to Cruz's character that you didn't?
Yeah, so I do feel like he definitely has vibes like Sincere. You mentioned him earlier, like in Once Upon a Murder, because that was in that world, you know, because Sincere was in that world. So he was kind of disconnected from the crowns a little bit. The same with this. We were so rooted in the fact that this was a trilogy and it was one book ends where the next one picks up that, you know, he couldn't be as connected to his crown side because then it would have been, you know, like that's not his people. You know, his people are the Paradox. The people, it was Rev, it was Storm, it was Titan, you know, and then of course Centauri. So because that was his world, then that is very much then who he would turn to for like to do everything. But because he is connected to my crowns, I'm like, he'll pop up, you know, he has other siblings with stories, and then is more stories that I have to write with that family. So like you'll see him again, but you know, his people were like the Paradox. Like that's, yeah, those are his ride or dies. So I think you even see that with his mental struggles. Like I think it's the scene. It was actually one of my favorite scenes I have wrote in the book, and it's a super small scene, but like where he's turning the Storm and Titan just for support. It's before readers really know what he's struggling through, and so it's like he's looking to them and they're asking him, you know, like, are you okay? You know, are you good? Like just those type of parts, because they very much let Cruz be Cruz. I mean, he's loud, he's goofy, you know, he's also super lovable teddy bear. Like he's all the things. So it's like how he functions, and since he's so loyal, like, you know, he functions where like these are my people type of thing. So
now, was there any deleted scenes though? With us?
Yes, I saved all of those really nice part. The deleted sex parts I had to take out make up a whole nice scene when all put together.
So can we expect like a bonus?
Oh no.
We have a Kickstarter that we're getting ready to launch.
Okay, good.
The Kickstarter, part of the Kickstarter, there will be bonuses. There will be bonus scenes, stories that expand on the Paradox world. And all you have to do is, right now it's in pre-launch mode. So all you have to do is go over to our pre-launch page, and there's a button that says notify me when on launch, and so when it goes live, you'll get a notification that the Kickstarter is live, and you'll get to see all of the options that we have for you to indulge into the Primal Fetish Paradox universe.
Okay, y'all. So go over and check out those. Go over there and check out those pages, and then so Stephanie, since you're here right now, tell us how to stay connected with you.
My website is the best way to stay connected. StephanieNicoleNorris.com. Of course, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Same name. You can find me there, and Amazon definitely, and a few other retailers if we're talking about books. But my main spot is StephanieNicoleNorris.com, and I'm going to post the link to the
if you
Kickstarter.
can put it in the chat, so they can grab it. Because I think I have it, but I'll have to go back and get it.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Oh, Sherelle's posted it.
Okay, cool. Okay.
The link to the Kickstarter, yeah.
Oh yeah, so you got it. So guys, it's down in the chat. So grab that, take a look at it. Let's see. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, McKinney.
Kenya. Okay, so Ms. Shae, how do we stay connected with you?
My website, ShaeSandersBooks.com, also Amazon. I'm kind of sort of on TikTok. I'm not on a lot, but I'm on TikTok. I'm on Threads and Instagram, and my name is the same across all of those platforms.
Any newsletters for you? I know Stephanie has a newsletter. Do you have a newsletter?
Yes. When you go to my website, it'll pop up and you can sign up there for the newsletter. Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Ms. Sherelle.
Yes. My website, www.sherellegreen.com, and then I should be at Sherelle Green on everything else. I'm trying to get better at TikTok, but
Oh, yeah,
I'm much better on Instagram. So, but yes, it takes me a while to respond. I will eventually do so.
Okay. All right. No worries. We understand because I'm kind of bad too. So there's your link, guys. So it's a Kickstarter program. And go out there, and then when you click on the link, it says notify me, and then once they're ready to share everything, it should come right to our emails that we signed up with.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Well, guys, that is our time. I do appreciate it. I know I went over just a little bit, but I know I have to let you guys go get out of here sometime. So I am your host, Midnight Ace. Thank you so much for joining us, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube. Take the time to like the videos, share them with your other book buddy friends, and make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss when I go live again. And I'm going to go live again. Okay. All right. So guys, with every chain, with every restraint, and with every surrender, this story and these characters were, like I said before, was every bit of seductive as it was emotional. If you have not read these books, I encourage you to take this journey. It's a little bit scary, but once you get into it, you're not going to be able to stop. Wait, one more question I have before we go. So this is sinful, but somehow or another, it was just taboo, really, because not sinful, because they was very much into whatever they was doing. So why sinful?
It would be considered sinful to everybody else. You know what I mean? Not to the paradox themselves, but they were a group who shares. They have always shared everything. The frat house, the fraternity, the brotherhood, the house, the land, the hitman. Were all the paradox was a hitman team. They were a unit in every way. And so the women, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, yeah.
Well, thank you for that explanation. But all the more sinful, seductive, taboo and all, I was here all for it, and you should be too. So guys, take care of yourself, and join us here next time when we have another, author chat. Who knows? I can't tell you who's coming next, but we do have somebody coming soon. So we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye for now. All right.
Thank you.